Oh yes, Boston is one of the cities in the US with the highest percentage of brutalist buildings. And, just as every city from the global west, these buildings cause a lot of attention, controversies and questions among people, such as: are they brutal?
Do they exclusively represent academia? Or do they resemble communism?
But, in the context of the cities in the US,
Believe it or not, there is a certain type of brutalist architecture that doesn't cause that much of attention or controversies. And in that sense, people don't talk much about it. Like for example, that's right, parking garages. And of course, not many people have problems with these great masterpieces of architecture because it's the house of America's best friend. You guessed it. Puppies? No. Guns? No. Cars? That's right. Actually, by exploring and visiting these garages in Boston, we have found that these pieces of architecture can serve as anchors for urban renewal in this city. You don't believe us? Well, stay tuned and you'll see it for yourself. Let's take a look at some of the Boston's brutalist parking garages. Look at this garage, for example. It can perfectly fit residential and commercial perception. For example, it has monolith facade from brick, it has nice and active commercial ground floor, and it already has some square. You see, no one is arguing about this, for example. And have a look at this parking garage. It looks like they're trying to convert it already into a residential building. More so, this kind of architecture may seem abstract, but it's actually a perfect type of architecture to stick it next to a traditional and a historical urban tissue, and in that way make the historical tissue stand out. Look at here, for example. So we have this older building, and right next to it we have this nice brutalist parking garage. And then definitely some garages with their architecture can have certain kind of monumentality and can be used as a monumental architecture in the city. And you see over here, the first 3 floors is like brutalist garages, and on top of it, it's a hotel. And no one have problems with this. And have a look at this parking garage. It's so softly designed that you can barely recognize it's made out of concrete. It looks like Guggenheim from Frank Lloyd Wright. I mean, is it a freaking garage or a museum? And also, this type of garages have an excellent potential to fit into a residential little narrow street with some kind of traditional architecture like church, for example. You see? No one argues about this one. Can have quite exquisite and fancy facades. Look how creative structural engineering can result with a playful facade. And look at this parking garage. It is a great example for an ambiguous design. While for many it may look as a typical garage design, for others it could be seen as some school in some country in North Africa, Morocco for example. You see how the perforated facade design communicates more gently with the public domain. And on the other side we have this parking garage where it can be easily confused with some residential block because it has nice terraces.
so we're just thinking out of the box here and freestyling a little bit so we can tickle your imagination. I mean, in Boston and in other cities, most of the cars serve to transport only one person. Now imagine we cut that down to 2 people per vehicle and we invest into public transport. Immediately reduce half of the cars that are being used in the city. In that case, we're freeing up the parking garages. Just think about it. Parking garages are actually storing cars and actually storing captured air in the center of the city, there where the urban space is the most precious. Now the fact that they're made out of concrete, they have lower ceilings, not a perfect residential infrastructure, can serve as an excellent ground for providing affordable housing, playgrounds or any kind of different communal spaces. Now imagine communal spaces in the center of Boston, there where the square meter is the most expensive.
So, as we have seen in the video, that most of these garages have very ambiguous shape, which is an advantage. For example, this building here, the Guggenheim Museum in New York, this shitty building looks like a garage, but in reality it's a museum. And apparently lots of people like it. But if we let ourselves to fly in there and think out of the box, this building can be perceived as housing, temple, or botanical garden, or call it whatever you want. So, thanks again for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe, share, move around and do whatever you want.